Hi, I'm Campbell from Metal Form Tow & Farm. Today I'm going to show you how to change the brushes on your Tow & Collect 1500 Pro. So the tools you'll require for this job is a 10mm ratchet and also a ruler. There's two ways to do this job. Firstly, by opening the catcher slightly so that you can access the brushes down through the gap here, and secondly by tipping the whole machine on its back and accessing the brushes from underneath. So the first option for changing the brushes is to access through the top of the catcher here. You'll notice there's two catcher opening positions. The halfway position is the one that you want to use for this job. So rotate that and lock the lever at halfway. This means the catcher is securely held in the half open position and you can easily access the brush cavity by reaching down in this gap. Okay, so there's four separate brushes arranged on the spindle shaft. To undo each of the clamp plates which hold the brush, use a 10mm ratchet and undo the nylock nuts in the 10 different positions. Undo the nut all the way until it comes off, and repeat this until you've removed all 10 nuts. Okay, that's all we're going to show you on method 1 for now. We're now going to switch to method 2, which is to flip the machine over onto its back for easy access to the underside of the brushes. If you are going to use method 2, please ensure that you're using a crane or other secure lifting device to lift the machine so it cannot fall during the maintenance procedure. Okay, the first step is to open the catcher to the fully open position, which is this last position. Make sure it's clipped in, and then using the crane or other similar lifting device, firstly, measure the brush length to ensure that the brushes do need replacing. When the machine is new, the brush length is 105mm. This is approximately 4 inches. When the brushes are worn to the stage where they need replacing, they will measure 75mm or 3 inches from the brush clamp to the end of the brush. So the next step is to undo these 10 nylock nuts that are holding the clamp plate onto the brush. You need a 10mm socket on ratchet. Carry on undoing the nuts until the head of the nut is approximately flush with the top of the stud. You don't need to take the nuts all the way off in this method as the clamp plate doesn't need to be fully removed. Okay, once you've moved or undone all of the nylock nuts, simply pull the brush out from the clamp plate, and that's it. Okay, so get your new brush. You'll notice that at one side of it there's the steel clamping strip, and at this side is the brushing surface. Please ensure that you put the steel clamp under the clamp plate. Don't put it in this way or else it'll make a mess and won't pick up properly. So if you put the brush in this way, slide it in underneath the clamping plate all the way along. Now it's very important to push it all the way back so the brushes are as far under the clamp plate as possible. It's also important to ensure that the brushes are sitting central, so you don't want them sitting hard one way or hard the other way, because the brushes will hit into the ends of the machine and not rotate properly. So even the gap up nicely, it should be basically flush with the ends of the clamp plate, and it's best if you do one end at a time. So push this hand in, holding the clamp and the brush under the clamp properly, and do up the very right hand nut so that it's just starting to clamp up on the brush. That's just starting to go tight there now. Now the best thing to do now is to go to one of the more central bolts, pushing the brush hard in again with one hand, and again tightening the nut down. If the nuts have been damaged by debris, you'll notice that the brushes were supplied with spare nuts, so use those if necessary. Come right to the left hand end, push the brush hard in again and tighten up the end of the clamp plate. Okay, the brush is fairly well securely held now, so you don't need to keep pushing it in, so you can go ahead and tighten down all of the rest of the nuts so they're nice and secure. Okay, that's it. Take one. Okay, so that's the first brush replaced. To access the next brush, there's 4 of them in total, simply rotate the shaft by hand, and now you have a new row of nuts to undo and brush to replace. Repeat this 3 more times and you're finished. Thanks for watching today's tech tip on how to change the brushes on your Time Collect 1500 Pro. Until next time, happy collecting.